What's up, everybody? Tori McElhaney here, and I'm so excited to finally introduce you to Atlanta Falcons Offensive Coordinator Zac Robinson. Zac, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I want to start. You have actually had what I will call a whirlwind of the last few weeks. I think for those that don't know, you and your wife welcomed a little baby boy on the same day within the same hour of you saying yes to this job. When you finally got a quiet moment during that day, at the end of that day, what was kind of running through your mind?
Yeah, we were just, obviously it was a whirlwind day, from the start of when, my wife went into labor, and then like you're saying, just everything happened so fast. And, we were able to just kind of like have a moment with my wife and I, and we brought my little daughter, who's a two-year-old girl, we brought her to the hospital, and like that was when it all kind of sunk in, that we were like, oh man, this is just a day that we'll remember for a long time. And but yeah, it was just, there was so much going on that we didn't even really have time to like really think about it. But seeing my daughter, hold our baby boy Cooper was pretty cool, and that's when it all kind of hit that we were, taking this next step with them, and then obviously here with Atlanta. So it was a wild day and something we'll always, remember.
Mm-hmm. Your name was linked to a lot of different teams over the course of this coaching search. What was it about Raheem Morris coming to Atlanta that made you want to be here with him and him as a leader and a coach?
So I've been with Ra for the last 3 years, and our offices were right across from each other. So we were popping in and out, talking about defensive schemes, offensive schemes, quarterback play. And so just seeing Raheem and the igniter that he is every single room that he walks into, the football acumen that he has on both sides of the football, offense and defense. He has experience, obviously on both sides. So it was a no-brainer when Ra got the chance to be here, and then obviously knowing that it was in such a great place like the Atlanta Falcons. That was all exciting things, and I'm just excited to work with Ra, excited to just continue to learn from him and just see, from a leadership standpoint, things that I can learn from him. And I know he's pouring into his coaches, his players, and you guys have been around him. I mean, he's the best. And so it's, I'm just excited that the opportunity was with Ra and with this organization. And we're all just eager. We're in that building. We got a bunch of new guys in there getting to know each other. But certainly the ability, to work with Ra is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to, this is your first offensive coordinator position in your career, what excites you about putting that headset on and getting into the nitty-gritty of calling plays, and kind of what are you just looking forward to in that regard?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is working with this staff. We're going to have a couple months here where we're going to be able to bunker down and really put this thing together, and then it's always going to be about the players. You're excited to get to work with these guys, and you look at the guys that we have, starting with the guys up front. You go from across the board with Jake and Matthew Bergeron and Drew Dahlman and Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry, and then the Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan and Tyler Algier. Like these guys, it's always going to be about these guys. And so we got 2 months that we have to wait until these guys can get here, which is going to be tough. We're all chomping at the bit, and there'll be great urgency when those guys get here, and everybody's going to be excited. And so that's the stuff that I'm looking forward to. It's there's a lot going on. You got to check the box a day at a time and just keep it moving. But certainly everything's building towards getting those guys here, being around them, figuring out what we got, and making the best plan of attack to go win a bunch of football games next season.
I'm glad you brought up the players, because that was exactly where I was going to go. I mean, this is a unit that is heavily invested in the offensive line, heavily invested draft capital in terms of offensive weapons. You named them: Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. When you first really started to get into the nitty-gritty of who this offense is at its core with these players, what excited you most about your opportunity to kind of get your hands on them a little bit and play around with different things that you want to do with them?
Yeah, sure. I think it's always going to start up front, and just seeing how those guys work together, seeing the job that Ledford's done and Sean Flaherty. We're going to add Nick Jones into that room that's coming, from the Rams. And so seeing those guys, how they play the game and how they come off the football, and just how they play is something that excites you as any coach coming in, and especially when you feel great about those 5 guys up front, and then there's some great depth behind those guys as well. And then you start watching the skill guys, and you're seeing, Bijan Robinson, watched him, coming out, and watched him. Actually went to a game in Stillwater, Texas Oklahoma State game in 2022, and he's the best player on the field every time he takes the field. And I think he had 180 something total yards that day, and it felt like you could give him the ball 50 times and he was going to make it work. So that was kind of my first exposure, seeing him live, and then going through the draft process, just seeing how special he is. There's nothing that he can't do, and so that's exciting. Drake London, studied him a bunch coming out. Love the way that he plays the game. All these guys that are here with the job that Terry's done in the front office, they love football. Like, they love the game, and they're great guys, which is a great starting point for any team. And so then you throw in Kyle Pitts and just the athleticism that he has, and he can be a complete tight end. And I think that's something that he's excited about getting going. And so knowing that the injuries and those things that happened in 22 and just coming back from it last year. So you can't help but be excited, but certainly starts with those big fellas up front. Those guys make it go, and then the pieces around them are all exciting. We're looking forward to just putting together the best plan.
Mm-hmm. Now we have to talk about the quarterback. Knew this was coming. Obviously, You have to. This is the guy who touches the ball every single play. When you kind of were looking at the situation in Atlanta and thinking about QB1, and let's be honest, this is a organization that at this point in time can go a bunch of different directions in terms of what they want to do in terms of filling that role. For you, what intrigued you about the opportunity to kind of have this blank slate at the quarterback position, and what excited you about that?
Yeah, I think just like you said, it's a fresh start. We're all getting fresh sets of eyes on, first of all, Desmond and Taylor, the guys that were here, and then all options are available, and so that's exciting. We're just getting rolling with the process. There's conversations that we have in passing that we'll certainly keep between all of us in there, but we're going to go through the process of everything, and so that's getting eyes on every single guy that we can, and guys that can come in here and distribute the ball to these playmakers is going to be fun to get going with all the guys. We got obviously I mentioned Raheem and the way that he sees the quarterback position, and just collaborating with the front office guys, and then you look at our staff and the amount of guys that either played it or have coached it. Ken Zampese, who's actually my coach in Cincinnati, learned a ton of football from him as a player. So we've got a great collection of guys that we're going to use. Everybody in that process, and everybody's just excited to get rolling and kind of see the direction that we end up going.
Mm-hmm. Over the course of your time with the Rams, you had a chance to work in close proximity with a lot of different quarterbacks at a lot of different points in time in their careers. I mean, you just go through the list. You're talking Jared Goff in his final season with the Rams, a Super Bowl hungry Matthew Stafford, a journeyman in Baker Mayfield, undrafted free agents, first-round draft picks. What did you learn through that experience of working with all these different guys about putting the guy in the best situation to be successful regardless of where he is in his career?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question, because it's you had Jared as a young developing player still, and so talented, and going from that, and then like you mentioned, in 2022 went through 4 quarterbacks, and then certainly very fortunate to be around a guy like Matthew Stafford, first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's in his 15th year in his career, and all those guys, like you mentioned, are in different spots of their career. And so piecing that thing together each week, you realized, you got to kind of recreate your identity a little bit without, losing totally the foundation of your offense. So learned a ton, really the last couple years, especially the 2022 and then 23 season, just going through some adversity that 2022 year, and playing with those different guys, and we've had some great guys. They all love the game. They're all very smart guys. They're all talented in their own right. And so, but learning how to adjust each week was something that didn't have to really do the first couple years. And so learning that process and what that looks like every single week to keep the offense humming, but also tailored to those guys. It certainly takes a collaborative effort with the entire group, but something that you just learned a lot about.
Over the years, what type of qualities did you see in these quarterbacks that you've worked with that are the qualities you need to have to be successful in this league?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, that person's got to be the most competitive person in the building. They got to have mental and physical toughness. Those are the non-negotiables of playing quarterback in the NFL. They got to be able to think. They got to be able to throw accurately. You got to be able to have all the inventory of throws, touch, pace, drive it when you need it, and then they have to be poised and have competitive greatness, being at your best when your best is required. And so I think that's the stuff you're looking for. Is it easy to find? That's the magic that we're all trying to find and finding the right guy. But definitely those are the qualities that we'll look for. But that guy's got to be the most competitive person and a guy that all these games are close. And so you got to have that guy that in those moments guys are looking to, and the guy that wants the ball in their hands is the guy that we're looking for.
To wrap up everything, when you look at this offense and the totality of it, and knowing that there are going to be moving pieces and there are going to be changes made, but at its core, what is your vision for this offense?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're building right now, and the collaboration of the group I'm excited about. We're just on day 2 here, and so the biggest thing is it's always going to be about these players. It's always going to be about how can we put them in a position to just go cut it loose and go play on game day. And so whatever that ends up looking like, that's our goal. That's the goal from day one when they get here, is to provide clarity, be detailed, be fundamentally sound, all the things that we're going to preach from day one. Like I mentioned, just so they can cut it loose and go play. And that's going to be the biggest thing. Have fun, enjoy doing this. I mean, these guys are NFL players, and what a great opportunity they have every single Sunday to take the field in front of a great fan base. And so those are the things that I'm looking forward to, is just getting with these players. It's always going to be about them and just getting the plan together. I got goosebumps just thinking about it, so I can't wait to get going with these guys.
I think that's a really good note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me, and let me be one of many to welcome you officially to Atlanta.
Awesome, appreciate you.